Well, today we have just a short portion of Romans chapter 10 to discuss, verses 12 and 13. At this point, we know that the observant Jew of Paul's day had misunderstood the Messiah, misunderstood God's righteousness, misunderstood God's grace. Now we see them misunderstanding this worldwide offer of salvation, even though it's right there in the Bible. What Paul is doing here is he's going to bring Isaiah 28:16 into play. Throughout this chapter, he has been using the Old Testament as a witness to back up what he is claiming, that salvation is by grace alone, through faith alone, that Israel has been hardened by God's sovereignty, but also held accountable for their own rejection. He's using that Old Testament to back it up. So let's take a look at that. Let me go to Romans. He says, let me go back up here a little bit, and he closes verse 11 with a reference to Isaiah 28:16. Whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. And then he goes on to verses 12 and 13. So this is the implication. There is no distinction. This is the significance, we could say, that Paul is drawing from that verse. There's no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord is Lord of all, abounding in riches for all who call on his name. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And there he's quoting Joel chapter 2. Let me go over to, let me take you with me over to Isaiah 28, and let's see what Paul's talking about here. What's happening in the context? He's quoting Isaiah 28:16, which we're going to come to. But what he's talking about here is a section in Isaiah that's warning Israel about this predicted captivity. Now, Ephraim is used as a collective name, so it is the name of a tribe associated with Manasseh, but it is also sometimes used for the whole southern tribe of Judah. So he's warning the southern tribe of Judah that their leaders are leading them astray, that their leaders are leading them into punishment. What the book of Deuteronomy warned about. He says, the splendid crown of the habitually drunk of Ephraim is trampled underfoot. Could you imagine that picture there? Crown on the head of a drunken king who's about to be trampled underfoot. And as we know from the Old Testament, as the king, so the nation. Goes on here and he says, they also reel with wine and stagger from an intoxicating drink. The priest and the prophet reel with intoxicating drink. So the king, the priests, and the prophet are leading them all astray. He goes on here, so the word of the Lord will be to them. So here's what he's talking about here. Let me back up a little bit. He says, this is what their teaching is going to be like. Order on order, order on order, line on line, line on line, a little here, a little there. Indeed, he will speak to this people through stammering lips and a foreign tongue. Oh, gosh, this is so rich. I wish I could just stay right here. But what he's talking about is the law is just going to be kind of a droning chorus coming from these drunken priests who are teaching just verbally what the law is without any feeling or heart. He says he will speak to this people through stammering lips and a foreign tongue. You know, in the New Testament, we often think of the fact that speaking in tongues is a sign of some sort of elevated spirituality. Well, if we trace that through the Bible, what we find is that the speaking in foreign languages and the hearing of those foreign languages by Israel is a sign of their condemnation, a sign of their condemnation. He said this is He who said to them, this is a place of quiet, gives rest to the weary, and this is the resting place, but they will not listen. They won't listen to God. We get down to near verse 16. He says, therefore, hear the word of the Lord, you scoffers, people who are laughing at the law, laughing at what God said, who are eating and drinking because perhaps tomorrow they die. People who rule this people who are in Jerusalem. He's talking to the kings. He's talking to the priests and the prophets. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol we have made a pact. The gushing flood will not reach us when it passes by. Because we have made falsehood our refuge, and we have concealed ourselves with deception. Therefore, this is what the Lord God says. So against these lies, against these agreements they've made with Satan and hell, God says this. This is what Paul quotes. Behold, I am laying a stone in Zion, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone for the foundation, firmly placed. The one who believes in it will not be disturbed. Notice what he says there. The one who believes in it. This is how Paul interprets that and applies it. Whoever, not just the one, but whoever believes in him. He does that in light of this verse here, Joel 2:32. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. This cornerstone motif that we see in Isaiah is really a hugely important metaphor to describe the Messiah, to describe Jesus. It's got this image of a tried, precious, sure foundation. It's going to provide stability, reliability, security to those who trust. So we've got this attack coming on Judah from Babylon. The prophets are warning about it. God is offering his cornerstone, and they're rejecting it. He's contrasting it with the leadership of the human rulers, with the perfect leadership of the coming Messiah. And this is what they've rejected, and this is what they've ignored. And the Spirit, through Paul, puts Isaiah 28:16 and Joel 2:32 together to make the point that the prophets knew all along and were teaching all along that salvation is available to everyone. But they rejected it. Makes me think about us. Paul and Israel, they had the Old Testament, which was good and was important and led them to the Messiah. But now, you and I, brothers and sisters, we have all of God's revelation. Everything he has to say to mankind, he said to us in the pages of his word that we have right in front of us here. How much more culpable will we be if we neglect or misunderstand it? God bless you.